everybody. Welcome to Extra Innings. We'll do this a couple times a week after the Buck Belue show ends, 10 to 11 on 680 The Fan. Hope you're watching the show, and appreciate you joining us here on our YouTube channel. We got a lot going on here at 680 The Fan, and this is just one of the many things we've got shaking. So we're going to talk Atlanta Braves today, and want to specifically talk about the Braves rotation and take a close look at, well, the two guys that are supposed to be at the top of the rotation for the Braves this year. Let's start with what we hope is good news that came down yesterday, and that is the Braves' Kyle Wright is apparently ready to go. Baseball's only 20-game winner last season, and he's been slowed as far as his progress down at spring training. Got a cortisone shot in his right shoulder in January. Sounds painful, doesn't it? Well, yeah, his shoulder, he had some inflammation, some pain in his right shoulder, which is never good for any pitcher at any level. So he got the cortisone shot, hoping to reduce the inflammation, get rid of the pain. And great news coming down yesterday as he had a bullpen session. First time he's been able to throw down at Northport. Had a bullpen session yesterday. So I think today's probably a pretty big day as far as how he feels. Look, the plan is for him to throw a live batting practice session coming up on Friday. That would be step number 2 in the process. And then he's expected now, as you look out at the rest of spring training, is to pitch in 3 spring training games before the end of spring training. That would start next week, by the way. If all goes well, looks like Kyle Wright could be ready to go for the second series of the season. Braves are going to start on the road. Why is it we're starting on the road every year? But it looks like he might be ready to go. Second series will be in St. Louis, getting the season started. As you know, Kyle Wright was spectacular a year ago. Had a breakout season, 21-5 record, 3.19 ERA, and just really impressed so many people and stepped up big for the Braves. We had expected to see a breakout season prior to last season, but Kyle was able to put it together last season. And what's his focus this spring besides the shoulder inflammation that he had? Look, I hadn't talked to Kyle, but I would imagine it's to be to come back and back it up from what he did a year ago with the 21 wins. So, you know, you don't want to be labeled a one-year wonder as an athlete. You break out and have a great season, and you just don't do it anymore. So I'm sure he's focused on coming back with a vengeance this year and backing it up what he did last season. Man, his stuff was so impressive last season. He put it all together last year. He's got that two-seamer that he's throwing a lot. It's got some really good sink at it at 94 to 96 miles an hour. It's got some heavy sinking action, which really gets that bat off the barrel of the ball off the barrel of the bat, and just really lived with that two-seamer last year. He's got the big hard curve that he's throwing a lot, throwing it more than he has ever before, and that was part of the reason for his success last year. His confidence is up with that curveball. Located the four-seam fastball was part of the success a year ago also, and a lot of these four-seam fastballs at 95, you're seeing him able to locate that pitch at the top of the strike zone, which is really hard for the batter to catch up with there. So that was another part of the success. And then the changeup became more and more effective for Kyle Wright. Using that more, which was effective. It's got some sink that goes down out of the strike zone, low in the strike zone. So that fastball up, the changeup down is a really good 1-2 pitch combination there. So all in all, I mixed in a slider a little bit. So Kyle Wright is a guy that's got 4 to 5 quality pitches that he can throw at these major league hitters and put it all together last season. The Braves now, look, if we're going to win the National League East for the 6th consecutive year and make another postseason run, got to figure that Kyle Wright's got to play a major part in that Braves rotation. So hopefully the right shoulder issue, he's going to be able to put that behind him now and move on and have a really productive season in that Braves rotation. Keep an eye on Kyle the rest of spring training. Hopefully no setbacks there. And then we're going to see him get, his 30 starts on the season with no problem. I want to talk about the ace, too, today, Max Fried, who he's been spectacular over the last 3 years. He's had a really good spring so far and looking to put up another dominating season as the Braves ace, despite being grossly underpaid. And I tell you what, man, I am so impressed with Max Fried and his attitude. We don't talk about the attitude of these players very much, but I will today. Max Fried, his attitude, a lot of people that are being grossly underpaid show up for work every day with a bad attitude. Not Max Fried. He'll be paid $13.5 million this year, going through the arbitration process that seems to go on forever for a lot of these players. 13.5 is what he'll be paid. His market value for what he's producing is double that number. And he's still showing up. No animosity at all. He's going to be a free agent after next season, after the 24 season. So, look, Anthopoulos, as far as him locking down this young, talented core, we've talked a lot about that. Got 6 to 8 guys that he's locked down with long-term deals are going to be here, many of them through 2030, which is fabulous. But Max Fried just hadn't been one of those guys they've locked down. He's not taking exception to that. The attitude remains good with Max, and I'm just really sort of blown away with that. His stuff continues to be really, really impressive. As you know, the change-up is something a little bit, but he's a guy that is living with that fastball that he's throwing with a lot of confidence. He's got that plus curveball that has been spectacular, mixing in a little slider, the change. He's got complete control of that repertoire that he's throwing out there. But his attitude, I think, really sets him apart. Why are the Braves reluctant to lock Max Fried down, the ace of the team? Why would Anthopoulos be reluctant to do that? Well, right now, Max will enter this season at 29 years old. So he'll play next season, final year of arbitration, as a 30-year-old pitcher. A little bit of tread has come off the tire for what he's done already for the Atlanta Braves. So I would imagine Anthopoulos' concern, the Braves' concern, would be to give Max a market value, long-term, big money contract of 6 years, $140 million, somewhere around $23 to $25 million a year for a guy that's going into his 30s. And so I think it's reasonable to think that we'll see Max as the ace of the staff this year and the ace of the staff next season, and then go ahead and get ready for the idea that Max Fried might be moving on after next season on the job. What's life without Max going to look like? Well, I'm a little bit concerned about that because he's been spectacular over the last 3 years. Really, to be real, he's been one of the top pitchers in baseball. That's what he's been giving the Atlanta Braves. And maybe the top left-handed starter in the game over the last 3 years. So, Max is looking forward, I'm sure, to not work on a one-year contract anymore. He's looking forward to getting that multi-year contract that's going to come up at the end of next season. And I guess the Braves would be thinking, looking ahead, Anthopoulos and his staff looking ahead, would be that Spencer Strider would be the guy that would evolve into the new Brave starter after apparently if Max is gone, if he's not going to re-up with the Braves after next season, that Strider's the guy that has the stuff, fastball up around 100. We're seeing him develop into more than just a two-pitch pitcher. So he continues to develop that stuff. Maybe that's the plan, is when Max is up, his tenure's up here in Atlanta after next season, that Spencer Strider, at that point in time, is going to be polished. He's going to be confident, going to have one of the best three-pitch combinations in the game, looking ahead. And then, obviously Kyle Wright factors in to that ace situation too. So looking forward to this Braves rotation. I saw where these outlets out there rating Major League Baseball's top rotations have the Braves coming into this season rated out number 3. You got the Yankees number 1, you got the Mets number 2, and I think that Mets rotation is really sort of top-heavy, where you got Scherzer and Verlander, both guys getting up there in age. Scherzer and Verlander heading up that Mets rotation. So we'll see if they're able to hold up this year with now DeGrom has moved on. But this Braves rotation, number 3 in the game, one of the strengths of this team coming into this 2023 season. It's going to be fun to watch these guys go out and do their thing. The bullpen's deep, one of the deepest bullpens in the league. So that pitching staff looks set. As far as the everyday lineup, the batting order, the guys that are playing every day, it's one of the deepest batting orders you're going to see in Major League Baseball. We're going to score some runs again this season. So it's no wonder that most of these outlets coming into the year have picked our Atlanta Braves to win the National League East for the 6th year in a row and to be ready to make another postseason run towards another World Series. Are you good with that? I know I am, man. Excited about the season getting started. It's going to be here before you know it. And you can count on the Buck Belue Show, talking Braves baseball every day on the show. And, of course, 680 The Fan, the official partner, the official home of the Atlanta Braves. You can hear all the games right here on 680 The Fan. So that's going to do it for Inside for the Extra Innings YouTube segment today. We'll be talking to you very soon. We appreciate you hanging out with us as we talk Braves baseball heading into 23.